Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can staff please take the roll call for attendance?
Bresnahan is absent. Dattilo?
Present.
Duvall?
Present.
Kirpin is absent. Sheehan?
Present.
Workman is absent. And Finder?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to introduce the minutes from June 26, 2025, the Special Zoning Board of Appeals special meeting for approval. Would any of the commissioners like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move to the business at hand. We will start by swearing in the public. So at this time, anyone who wishes to speak at tonight's hearing is to be sworn in. So if you do plan to speak, please stand and state your name and address.
Should I raise my hand right now?
Yeah.
My name is George Esperalvis. I have Grange C-Stores.
Okay, anyone else?
Juanita Farr, I'm from the North Brainard Avenue.
Okay.
And my name is Chris Miller, and I live at Brainard Avenue.
Okay. Do you all solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the hearing. The business at hand tonight is ZBA number 652, variations from sections 11-109E.3, maximum sign height, and 11-109F.2, minimum setback, to allow for the construction of a ground sign at 2 North Brainard Avenue. Do we have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor to open the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, can staff please provide the presentation?
Happily.
So this is just a brief overview of the application, starting with the location of the property at 2 North Brainard Avenue at the northwest corner of Brainard and Hillgrove. These are the current conditions of the property. As you can see, it's improved with a convenience store and gas pumps. It has been used as a gas station since the 1960s. In 1998, we have permit records reflecting construction that generally aligns with its current configuration. So this is a diagram that appears on page 3 of your staff memo, just to help understand a little bit of the variation relief being sought for the minimum setbacks. So the solid dark red line that's shown is approximately the 10-foot minimum setback for ground signs in the zoning code. The dashed red line is the vision triangle within which no obstructions can exist because it would cause obstructions to clear line of sight at intersections. The existing sign that is on the property today is within this vision triangle and even encroaches into the village's right-of-way. The proposed new ground sign would be outside of the vision triangle, but would be within the area that otherwise is prohibited for a ground sign. So it would be in that dark gray between the solid red line and the dashed red line. So these are the proposed conditions. You can see the red outline is the proposed sign, and you can see that if you can see it on the screen, the existing sign that encroaches into the vision triangle. This is a rendering of the proposed sign. As you can see, it's a 10-foot height, which is one of the 2 requested variations. Ground signs are limited to 6 feet in our code. And it has a 36-inch base that the sign is actually a pole sign underneath, but the base is a faux stone material that's commonly used for ground sign bases. This is a rendering of how the sign would appear on the property, and you can see the existing sign as well. That concludes my overview presentation. If you have any questions on any items in the staff memo, I'd be happy to go through them in detail.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
question. What is the requested variance of the setback?
Just got the notes. Roughly 5 feet.
So they're asking to be 5 feet as opposed to 10 feet.
Isn't that 5.3 dimension?
So 5.3 is at the south property line, so it would be a little less than that where the sign is actually located. And then the proposed sign is 5.21 feet north of the south property line. So I suppose the sign, oh, I'm sorry, no, it is shown on here, 4.07 feet west of the east property line and 5.21 feet north of the south property line.
Okay, so a variance of approximately 6 feet for the setback, and then a variance of approximately 4 feet for the height restriction. Is that the request?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, thank you. Now we will hear the applicant's presentation, and you can assume the commissioners have received your application and reviewed it. If you wish to give the presentation, you just come to the podium.
I also have a gentleman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is George Morales from Variances stores. We're the jobber partner that supplies fuel, and the company's been around in Chicagoland for 102 years, from 1922. Mr. Wally, a couple of years ago, we did signed a shell contract. We changed the location from the Citgo, branded Citgo, to a shell because it was a little better quality brand. And the company also invested a great deal of money at the location to include this canopy, the structures, branding, etc. So we're also working with a company that specializes in imaging called Image FX, which I have Mr. Jim Williams. He's out of town, but he's here to share some of these facts about the imaging. So if I could, I have on speaker. I'd like to speak.
Is that kosher?
So I think if they have questions for Jim, that's great. I think you should do the majority of the testimony because you've been sworn in. But if there's technical questions that we need answers to, Jim Williams is the sign contractor, so he can answer and speak to any technical questions related to the sign. So it is valuable to have those answers from the subject matter expert, but I think generally to give the presentation of the application and your request for relief, that should come from the folks here that are sworn in.
So primarily the location for many years, from the 60s, it's been a gas station. There's been enough room for cars to come in and out. If delivery trucks come in, taking part. If delivery trucks
There we go. Thank you.
come in, and automobiles fueling up at the islands, there's always enough room for everybody to get through without any obstructions or any problems, and that's the way it has been. So all we're requesting is to just update the current sign that's there. I think it was a few inches over the property line, I'm sure you could say. And, put in a new sign like the design is showing clear. That's kind of a mock-up rendering. He's a valuable asset to the location there. Mr. Wally Dalfar, and he's one of the better locations. His business is improved also very well with the Shell brand.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. In the memorandum, staff memorandum, on page 3, it's noted that the applicant contends that the height relief is necessary to provide adequate space below the sign for snow accumulation. Can you explain explain that to me?
That would be a technical question that Mr. Williams can answer.
Okay. Does anybody, well, all right, then why don't we hold on that and see if anybody has any other questions that don't require Mr. Williams, and then we can phone him in all at once.
What is the height of the current sign?
Our side, I think it's around 6 foot.
The existing sign is 8.67 feet tall. 8.67,
So that's non-conforming as well.
correct.
Any other questions before we have the technical confirmation?
One question that I think folks present should be able to answer. Part of the contention about height relief is that a conforming sign would not provide sufficient area to display two gas prices. Our packet notes that the two other gas stations in Grange with gas signs do not have space either for two signs. Why do you feel you need, for two prices, why do you need space for two prices?
Well, in the rendering that was prepared, that's how the image company reflected it. Plus, the regular premium brands, especially the V-Power, shell is their most desirable fuel.
So the rendering company prepared it that way. Would you be happy with a sign without space for two?
If that is what would need to be accomplished for the village and the city, Mr. Albert, but ideally the premium is the biggest draw for shell brands. Maybe the sign could be shorter or lower to accommodate you, since it's a small space compared to some of the other locations, which they have larger monument signs. It's a little bit bigger because it's more length that they have versus this is just a little bit thinner.
Follow-up question for staff on that. If the sign were not higher than the existing sign, would it still require a height variance? I presume the answer is no.
No, the answer is yes, because once you remove a nonconformity, you can't replace it. Any new construction has to come into compliance with code. Our maximum is 6 feet, and the existing sign is 8+.
Thank you.
And I'm sure Mr. Williams can speak to the 36 inches sign base, but it is noted in the staff memo that that is a fairly standard base height for ground signs for not just snow accumulation, but visibility.
Okay.
Can we hear that? Can you put it near the microphone, please?
All right, Jim, putting on the mic.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I apologize for presenting from South Carolina, but there was a previous engagement that I couldn't get out of. The ditches that lower to the ground with snow plows and snow dry, that ditches tend to get damaged. And we try to keep them up a little higher, but it's also a safety issue. Keeping them up high enough for the visibility for the cars traveling. I know there's stop signs there, but they need to be able to see the ditches safely, and you got cars driving by, and clearly the drivers keep a distance if they're too low to the ground. And then I wanted to speak too about the size of the sign. Shell already made some significant retouches to the sign. You'll notice the Shell logo is not proportional. The It's supposed to be, for their grand standards, it's supposed to be equal weight, top, bottom, left, and right. And George had mentioned V-Power, which is their branding of their gas, and he had to get an exception to remove that out of the sign as it is, just to, make the sign as small as we could. And we're a little limited because we're right up against the visibility triangle, and we're also right up against the lot. So as opposed to, if you look at the other signs that are at other stations, the fact that they have more room, they only have 4 feet between the visibility triangle and the gas lane. We have to stack the shell head on top of the prices where all their other main branding logos, the Shell and the 7-Eleven, I think it's the Exxon, are all to the side of the sign. And that's the reason we've had to go to an upright configuration, because of the outside triangle with the inside the gas lane.
Did everyone get that last bit?
Can you repeat that last statement, Jim?
Yeah, so I'm not sure about how far back, but we were trying to stay between the visibility triangles, stay outside of that, and then also not going into the gas lane. We have about 4 feet and 2 inches where we're proposed to keep it as far off the setback as we can off the property line. So we've had to go higher as opposed to the other monument signs you see in the document, because they put the Shell, the branded logo of the gas, the Exxon, the 7-Eleven, or the Shell on the side of the license. We were forced to put the Shell on top of it to stay in that location. And we also then were kind of having a special request, an exception from Shell, to have the V-Power removed out of the sign, branding on it, and just be on all Shell signs. It's just like BP has a figure 8, and other brands have the same thing with their branding on it. And they also shrunk the size of the Shell logo. If you look at the picture there, where it's rendered against the existing sign, the Shell logo is supposed to be square, and it has the Shell logo fills up the price of the area. Here we shrunk it down in our rendering to where there's a lot of white on the sides, just to even keep it at 10 feet.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll ask if there's any members of the audience who wish to testify. Okay.
My name is Chris Miller, and is that better?
Yeah, you need to go in more. Thank you.
So am I got out of board now?
Yeah.
You can hear now, yeah.
I live at 121 North Brainard, which is about a block and a half from there. I've lived there for 36 years. I've kind of done an interview with people around. We want this gas station to stay. It's really the only thing there, and it's got a convenience. We used to have good burgers, and we don't. And if you look around that sign, there's a store across the street. You got the train and a parking lot on the other side. You got a thing that was a gas station. I don't know what it is anymore. And so it's not like it's bothering anybody. The old sign, from what I understand, was grandfathered in. So that's why that's there. So this isn't, I think this looks better than that. But I will say that, at least in the neighborhood, from what I've been able to find, it doesn't matter to anybody, but they do want them to stay. So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Waleed Akbar. I'm the manager and the owner for the application. I've been there for a while, and I would like to stay in business and keep up. I love the neighborhood. It's part of my family now. I've been there, and I know everybody there. We've been trying to get this site for almost 2 years, but we just tried at the beginning just to take off the city logo, but a new the shell logo, and leave it as it is with the digital sign. But then we find out this sign is not up to code, so we had to meet the codes for the village and make a better sign as a part of the community to make it look better and nicer. The reason why we couldn't go farther more, we tried to keep it as much as we could here, because the parking lot is really tight, and if there's a car parked in one of the pumps, it's really hard for another delivery or for the gas trucks to come by. If you can post the picture, please.
I don't think I have that one.
Give me 1 second, I'll get it up.
Sure.
It is in their packet. So they've all seen the printed copy, but I'll pull
Well,
it
I
up.
see where the Pepsi truck is right next to the pump, yeah. So this is the farthest spot we would have the sign in, so it wouldn't bother the other vehicles while they are getting gas, because it will block % of our site. We move the pump, the sign farther inside. So, and the height was like, has to be a little bit higher for the visibility for the whoever driving by. Plus, when we plow the snow, they pile the snow in that corner. So it's gonna affect the visibility of the price sign. It's gonna be lower than that. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions for the audience? Okay, thank you for the testimony.
Of course.
Okay, before we move on, are there any further questions from the commissioners for the applicant? If not, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, all in favor to close the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to the commissioners' discussion. And as usual, if we can organize our discussion around the variation standards, all the better.
Mr. Chairman, speaking to LaSalle Standard Number 2, a unique physical condition, I can see how the setback variance is a unique physical condition here. I'm having trouble with the height. The existing sign, non-conforming that it is 8.5 or so feet tall. And I just don't see how the applicant has met the standards for relief as to the height of the sign.
I think to add on to that, the height was giving me trouble too for the number 8 standard, no other remedy. And those other examples that were given in the village only had one price field, I guess you would call it, on the sign. And if you look at the diagram itself, I think they're 27 inches tall. And if that were to be removed, that would take the total height down to something like 7.75 feet as opposed to 10, if I'm doing the math correctly, which is still not non-conforming, but it's an improvement on the height. So that's something that I was wrestling around in my head. But either way, I don't think it's a great case for no other remedy. Any other discussion on this?
The concern is, just from looking at it from the other side, is they already have both listed, so customers and folks that are driving by are used to seeing the two prices listed. And I don't know what the case is with the other gas stations, so the Exxon or the other Shell. always been the one price, so I think the trade-off is, yes, we lower the height, but then customers that in the business lose out from not having the two prices when the testimony we heard is there's a lot of interest in the premium, whereas there may not always be interest in just the premium. People may want to see both. So, I think the height, while it's concerning, I think overall how it's mocked up and how it's not as wide, and it gives them the opportunity to have that snow be accumulated underneath and still have the two prices listed. I don't have as much concern with regard to unique physical condition or no other remedy. I think they have done a lot with already trying to shrink down as much as they could with the shell sign, so I don't know how much of an issue then it would be if they take away an additional price. How what the overall impact would be, I guess, on the business would be a concern as well.
A great point.
Looking at number 5, the not merely a special privilege, I think I'm having an issue with that factor in that the alleged hardship or difficulty cannot merely be the inability of the owner or occupant to enjoy some special privilege or additional right not available to owners or occupants of other lots, which is the same provision. And then we saw that the other, the other signs for the gas stations in La Grange do not have these two separate prices. I don't know that this qualifies that it's not really a special privilege. I'm talking about the height specifically. With regards to the setback from the lot line, I don't have an issue with that. I think it makes sense. Everybody knows being out of a gas station can sometimes be a difficult task with the various lanes and whatnot. So I don't have an issue with that. It's just the height. I don't know that it meets the factors for that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may pose a question to staff. Does our the sign provisions of the zoning code allow a digital sign that changes?
It does. A changeable message sign is actually only allowed for theaters and recently gas stations. When this topic first came up with Wally 2 years ago, the code did not allow for changeable message signs for gas stations. The ones that we had were either erroneously approved or through some other plan development special use permit process. So we did amend the code within the last 2 years to allow for that.
So specifically, if it was decided that a height variance were not to be granted, and the applicant was then left with only one space for digital pricing, is it correct that the village code would allow that sign space for pricing to change, meaning it could flip between regular and premium price?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
The question is, would they be able to do that?
Not technically, but for the zoning.
Right, technically it would be my,
Would the zoning code allow for a sign that changes? And the answer,
yes, but I'm saying like technically, would they have the ability to do that would be?
well, we can ask, but I certainly, I'm an attorney and I represent gas stations, and I certainly know that my clients with fuel stations on the freeway change
Have the
signs
ability to do that.
between cash and credit price.
Right, there is that toggler, like a toggler thing where it can toggle from one product. They usually use that for cash and credit. It's not commonly used for regular and premium. That particular instance that you're referring to. The toggling of the price.
Okay, any other discussion? I guess I had one. I think you were talking about number 2 earlier, and that made me think, unique physical condition in a way is creating the situation where they have to go vertical. I think we've established that. So those two sort of go hand in hand. And I would say provide a pretty good case for a variation in height, generally speaking. So now I'm sort of in the territory like how high? And to me it's sort of boiling down to the one sign or one, what do we call those? Price signs or one price sign. So it's the degree of nonconformance at this point. Okay. Any other thoughts on this topic?
I think the applicant would like to add a
Well,
point.
we are in a closed hearing, but I think we can allow it, right? So go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Can I stand there?
Yes.
I had spoken with Mr. Williams from Image FX, and he says that there was some room where we could go down possibly 24, 27 inches on the height of the sign
Okay.
to find a solution.
Okay. But is that irregardless of the number of price signs within that, or just generally down 27 inches?
That would be removing a price.
Oh, sorry.
That would be removing a price.
Okay. Okay. So that is an option, I guess, is what we're hearing.
But I did want to say that also in La Grange, there's so many high-end vehicles that people who use the premium product, that's a very, very big reason that the premium should be displayed.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's good to know.
If I can just note something that I neglected to mention earlier in my overview. Usually staff does not recommend conditions on variation applications, but there is a staff recommended condition on page 8. If the zoning board of appeals does recommend approval of one or both of the variations, based on our experience in building permitting with these sorts of sign bases with faux stone, we do recommend that where the faux stone meets grade, that there should either be a level concrete base or there should be some landscaping around it. Otherwise, you'll have gaps below the base of the sign and it will look unsightly.
Okay. Do we have anyone who wishes to make a motion of any type?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to approve the variance as to setback. I move to deny the variance as to height. Grant height variance to the existing sign height, which I believe I heard was 8.67 feet.
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote? And I don't know if we should have it read back, perhaps. Do we all understand? I believe what I heard was approve to the setback, deny the height, but grant a variation in height that matches the existing height.
Do we want to take this separately?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, if we should do the setback as one at that. Sure. It sounds like we're recommending approval for
Yeah,
lesser variation.
I think that'd be preferable if we can, yeah. So maybe we have a roll call vote, please, for, I believe it was approving the setback first.
I just want to agree, you're amending the motion then, Dattilo?
Yes, agreed, Sarah.
Good point.
I just want to,
Okay.
and
I'll
then,
second the motion as severed.
thank you.
Okay.
Dattilo?
Aye.
Duval?
Aye.
Sheehan?
I
And Finder?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, now do we have a second?
for the height.
The revised second motion is to deny the height variance as requested, grant a lesser height variation to the existing sign height, which I believe is 8.67 feet, and to add staff's recommended condition concerning the base as listed on page 8 of the packet.
Can I make a comment before we, with that? Okay, so the way that, if the height is indeed 8 foot, what was it?
It's 8 feet 6.
8 foot, okay, so that is actually, this will be favorable to the applicant because if we were to remove the 27 inches, that would have put you down to like 7.75. I just want to make sure the math is correct in my head here. Okay, good.
Someone who's bad at math.
All right. We're ready for a roll call vote?
Did we get a second?
second.
Thank you. Dattila,
Aye.
Duval,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
and Finder.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. And this body is a recommending body, so an ordinance will be prepared for approving the variations, and it will be presented to the village board for consideration on August 25th, which is their next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any old or new business to discuss before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor to close the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Two signs.